RPGs are one of the biggest genres in gaming, whether it's from vibrant fantasy worlds, dark dystopias, or out into the great beyond in the stars. RPGs allow us to see and live in some of the most imaginative worlds ever created, where we can often create our own characters, pursue romance, shape the world, dictate our relations within it, or just watch numbers get bigger and to pursue the loot. And today we've got 11 new RPGs coming out in January, so strap in with me as we find out if these games are going to give us enough XP to level up. Hello everyone and welcome to Game Conclave. I am Vberg and we've got so many cool looking new RPGs to share with you coming out in January, so let's hop right into the list, starting up with Ys Memoire, The Oath in Felghana. Now this is a remaster of 2005's Ys The Oath in Felghana, which is a remake of 1990's Ys 3 Wanderers from Ys. And I've mentioned previously, the first RPG I actually ever played was Ys 1, Ancient Ys Vanished, back in 87, because I'm ancient. Ys is a long-running fantasy action RPG series developed by Nihon Falcon, the pioneers of action RPGs. They also make the Trails series, or Legend of Heroes, which is, Trails is actually a sub-series of. Anyway, so this one's a modern remaster of a remake. It's got tons of new quality of life features added in, updated visuals, a remastered soundtrack, the ability to swap between the original character illustrations during dialogue and cutscenes or new refined illustrations. Adol now also has voice acting, an optional turbo mode can be toggled on or off for those who need their combat as frenetic as possible, which Ys already has pretty slick and fast combat. But anyway, you will play as Adol, who is returning home with his friend Dogi to Dogi's homeland. They get embroiled in all sorts of political machinations and ancient mysteries when they find out that the local population is having problems with monsters. There's some platforming, slick, fast action combat, great boss fights. If you're a fan of action RPGs like the Mana series or Tales of, check this one out. It's going to be launching on Switch, PS4, and PS5 today, January 7th.
I would have you show me your abilities, red-haired swordsman.
Now we've got Robots at Midnight. This one is developed by the indie studio Finish Line Games, who've previously developed two adventure puzzle games, Scully and Maze. They're now foraying into the action RPG genre with a Souls-like action RPG. This game will have a retro-futuristic 1980s inspired setting and take place on a ruined world known as Yob. You'll play as Zoe, who has woken up with no memories, yet she finds herself wielding a space gauntlet known as the Mitt. How did Zoe get here, and how did a former luxury destination planet end up this way? The game will have difficulty options, so if you're not a fan of Souls-likes, don't worry, the devs have got you covered. The enemies are really goofy looking in this one. They look like pieces of garbage and pipes kind of cobbled together that just slapped on clothes, and I'm not really sure why, but I kind of want to find out. So if you're as intrigued as I am, check this one out when it launches on Xbox Series S and X and PC on January 29th.
Please enjoy your stay.
Alright, now next we've got Freedom Wars Remastered. This is a remaster of the 2014 PS Vita action RPG, developed by Dimps, best known for their work on Dragon Ball Z Budokai, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, Street Fighter 4 and 5, and Soul Calibur 6. Freedom Wars is set in a dystopian future, 10,000 years in the future, in fact, after the planet's resources have been depleted, and humans now live in brutal city-states known as panopticons and are constantly warring with one another. The very act of being born sentences you to a life of crime, 1 million years in prison for the crime of living. To reduce your sentence, you're forced to volunteer for dangerous combat missions against other panopticons or monstrous abductors. You can use special weapons known as thorns for traversal, allowing you to jump, grapple, swing, etc. Different kinds of thorns can also grant different special abilities related to traps, healing, shields, and that kind of stuff. The game will feature 8-player co-op or competitive modes, allowing you to work alongside one another and earn resources for your panopticon or attack rivals from enemy factions. You can customize your player character and your cyborg companion, known as an accessory, who will aid you in battle. The remaster is touting higher res textures, supporting 4K resolution on compatible platforms, updated control schemes, the option to use the original control schemes, and they've also stated that the crafting system has been overhauled. Additional difficulties also added in to make the game easier for single-player access. The remaster will also be coming with all the previous DLC released for the Vita, so if you're looking for something to scratch maybe that Monster Hunter itch, or you're a fan of the God Eater series, check this one out when it launches on the Switch, PlayStation, and PC on January 10th.
156,659,683.
Alright, so Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero is a strategy RPG, and it's a sequel to Phantom Brave: The Bermuda Triangle, which is a game that came out like over 20 years ago. I remember back when this was announced last year, and I was actually kind of really shocked. I did not expect to ever see a Phantom Brave sequel. Like its prequel, you will be playing as Morona, who's considered cursed, as she can see and command phantoms or ghosts. Morona can summon the phantoms directly into objects, allowing for all sorts of hilarious stuff, as they can animate cannons and pots and garbage, which will affect their stats and provide special abilities. This comes from Nippon Ichi Software, probably best known for the Disgaea series, La Pucelle, and Rhapsody: A Musical Adventure. If you know anything about Nippon Ichi, they do Goofy. Goofy is their thing. Don't expect the story to have too many serious moments. It'll probably have a few tender moments here and there, but generally it's going to be pretty goofy. That's just their thing. They focus on gameplay and games with almost borderline infinite replayability. You can just keep playing these games pretty much endlessly. The game takes place in the same world as the first, the island world of Ivoire, which is now under attack by a fleet of ghost ships, and Morona is looking to stop them. So if you're a grind fanatic or looking for something goofy, you're not familiar with Nippon Ichi games, this is one of theirs coming out. Make sure to check it out. You can level your characters into like the tens of thousands, their stats into the hundreds of thousands. It's expected to launch on January 30th for the Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC.
There's something I've wanted to talk to you about. Morona?
The subjugation target has been eliminated. Task complete.
Alright, next up is Broken Alliance. This one is being made by Placeholder Gameworks. This is a small indie studio out of Estonia who previously released Death and Taxes. And they actually have people in the studio who worked on Disco Elysium and Heroes of Might and Magic, so I'm kind of excited about this one. Looks like it could be super fun. I love Heroes of Might and Magic style games, so it's right up my alley. The game has a great pixel art, old school aesthetic. It's like a happy medium place between nostalgia and modern clarity. As expected by a game inspired by Heroes of Might and Magic, looks like it's going to be taking place in a fantasy setting. You have the ability to choose between 4 different factions to join as you progress the story and try to save your dying world. Paradise is aligned with nature, Forge is focused on technology, the Phobos are fanatics, and the Anchorage faction are the realm's traditionalists. You'll recruit units comprised of mythological monsters and creatures to join your cause. There'll be a card-based system adding in unique gameplay elements for each of the different factions, character customization, a story focused around choices that matter, and tactical turn-based combat. I'm in. So I'll be picking up the game in early access on PC January 15th. If you're a fan of King's Bounty, Heroes of Might and Magic, or just like what you're seeing, I hope you think about doing so as well. Next up, we got Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist. This is a sequel to a criminally underrated title, Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights. This is kind of interesting, and both this one and its predecessor had 2 developers, AdGlobe and Livewire. Livewire has worked on some other games independently of AdGlobe that were shoot-em-ups, and AdGlobe independently has worked on Redemption Reapers, which is a strategy RPG. So this is an interesting mashup of 2 studios who do 2 very different things coming together somewhere in between both their wheelhouses, or at least that's how it looks on the outside. And I gotta say, that's really cool. The Ender Lilies games are Metroidvania action RPGs with a really interesting mechanic in that you don't actually do the fighting with your character. Instead, they're a little summoner who summons ghosts and homunculi to fight on their behalf. So you'll be playing as Lilac and a tuner who awakes deep in an underground laboratory, and you will set off in search of your lost memories in the land of fumes. If you're looking to explore a dark and poignant fantasy world or something to scratch that Castlevania itch, this one will finally be leaving early access on January 22nd and releasing on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, Switch, and PC. Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector is a sequel to Citizen Sleeper. Both games are developed by indie studio Jump Over the Age. This is going to be a dice-driven sci-fi RPG where you play as a sleeper, an emulated human mind living within the confines of an android body. You're on the run from your creators only to fall under the control of a criminal space gang who rule a space station. You'll pull yourself out from under their thumb and commandeer a vessel that's unfortunately a clunker. So you'll assemble a crew, seek out odd jobs, and repair your vehicle to progress and determine your fate with dice rolls. You can go hungry, struggle to manage your character's stress, have your dice take damage and decay, which will limit your options, and while all this is going on, your android body is starting to fall apart. So if you're looking for something really nitty-gritty that kind of emulates the tabletop role-playing experience, then you really need to give this one a shot. I've heard the first one is phenomenal. I haven't played it though. Fans of Disco Elysium should probably be taking a look at this one when it launches on January 31st for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Next up, we've got Tales of Grace's F Remastered. If you're not familiar with the Tales series, it's a long-running action RPG series that's been going since the mid-90s. This one was originally made by the Namco Tales studio, formerly known as Wolf Team. They are responsible for the vast majority of Tales games, including Destiny, Symphonia, The Abyss, Vesperia, and Xillia 1. The remaster is being handled by Tosei Co., who worked on Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion and Dragon Quest Treasures. The game has a very anime fantasy vibe going on. I've played a couple of the Tales games, and they have really, really top-notch characterization, great story twists. Characters I've absolutely loathed have transformed into endearing and relatable protagonists in this series. The story's initial premise is you are living on a planet called Ephenia. 3 young children, including the main character Asbel, will come together to make a promise that could save the world, but tragedy strikes and these people will find themselves later on in life at odds with one another. This remaster will include a post-story event known as the Lineage and Legacy. Several quality of life features have been added in, autosave, skip features, the ability to turn off enemy encounters, etc. The Tales of games are known in particular for their action combat system. It's as deep as you want it to be. You can plow through the game with simple button mashing, or you can take the time to master the game's systems for the harder difficulties and challenge. The combat can get pretty intricate. So if you're looking for a good story or action RPG, a fan of things like Kingdom Hearts, Star Ocean, or the Mana series, check this one out when it launches on January 16th. It'll be hitting the Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. Next up, we got Hyper Light Breaker. This is a co-op, open-world, online, roguelike action RPG. That's a mouthful. It's going to have procedurally generated worlds made by Heart Machine, the developers behind Solar Ash, and Hyper Light Drifter, which this is actually a prequel to. You'll be playing as a breaker, who are both warriors and explorers charged with rebuilding the world. You're tasked with entering the Overgrowth, a new realm in the world of Hyperlight. As the world's in disarray, you'll find yourself clashing with and needing to defeat the defenders of the Overgrowth known as Crowns to collect their memories and figure out how to take down their leader, the Abyss King. Traversal elements will include wall dashing, hoverboards, and gliding throughout the various biomes. The devs are touting almost infinite replayability and combinations ensuring you'll never be bored by seeing the same worlds over and over. Dodge and parry attacks in ranged or melee combat, you'll be bringing back resources to help your settlement grow. As this is a roguelike, death doesn't mean the end. Every failed run is meant to be a learning experience to help you prepare to take down the bosses. This one is going to be going into early access on PC on January 14th. I'm not sure how long it's going to be in early access, but I wouldn't be shocked to see some console ports down the line. I could see myself singing a ton of time in this one. I do occasionally love the excessive looty grindy. Now we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't even know what to say about this one. It's Final Fantasy. It's the second part of the Final Fantasy VII remake. If you've managed to avoid this game's shipping community and don't know what it's about, the second part in a remake of 1997's Final Fantasy VII, which kind of revolutionized RPGs back in the day. It's got a cast packed to the brim with several iconic gaming characters. If you've ever wondered where the blonde spiky-haired swordsman trope comes from, it may not have originated here, but it was definitely popularized by it. Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith, among others, are all in this one, with fully gorgeous 3D models and voice acting. This one launched on PS5 last year and is finally making its way to PC. You'll be playing as Cloud, who's journeying with his friends and compatriots to try and thwart a threat to the planet in the form of the Sephiroth and the Shinra Corporation. The original tale is one of the greatest RPGs ever made and one of the best stories told in gaming. This remake project is kind of like a retelling. I almost feel like it's enhanced by knowing the original game's plot because there's already several major deviations that have been made as they flesh out this new story. So it's kind of, it feels like less like a remake and more like a reimagining, at least in terms of the story to me. That said, it's got some slick combat, killer reinterpretations of Nobuo Uematsu's original soundtrack, a slew of minigames, and jaw-dropping graphics. The original Final Fantasy VII is available on virtually everything under the sun. Part 1 of the remake, that this is one is Rebirth is a direct sequel to, is on PS4, PS5, and PC, and this one's hitting PC on January 23rd.
The time has come.
Sephiroth!
At last, our long-awaited reunion.
Alright, last but certainly not least, we have Eternal Strands. This one's coming to us from Yellow Brick Games. They have not released anything previously. This is in fact going to be their debut title. What is super interesting about this one to me though, and probably a lot of other people, is that Yellow Brick Games is founded by Mike Laidlaw, who worked as one of the primary creators of the Dragon Age series at BioWare. He was also extremely important in Jade Empire and was a writer on Mass Effect. And if you know anything about me, you know I love those games. So I'm really excited about this one. You'll be playing as a weaver named Bryn, who is trying to recover her people's cultural homeland. And it's going to be like a physics-based RPG, incorporating all sorts of cool fire, ice, and telekinetic powers into what looks to be a new and interesting fantasy setting. I did see somewhere that the creators said that the Shadow of the Colossus was one of the inspirations behind this game, and I can totally see that based on some of these enemy designs. The developers have said that the player's creativity with powers are just as important as exploration in the game. You can do all sorts of cool looking stuff, use your ice magic to make bridges, fire powers to ignite things, telekinesis to rip objects out of the ground for platforming or even hurl at enemies. Between your various magical skills, sword, and tools for mobility, you'll want to bring down these giants and other enemies, and I am really pumped about this one. I'm honestly just not even sure what to compare it to. It's almost like PsyOps the Mindgate Conspiracy meets Shadow of the Colossus, and that sounds freaking killer. So I'm definitely going to be diving into the demo that will launch on Steam January 21st to get a taste of this one before it launches officially on January 28th for PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. Make sure you're subscribed as we've got daily videos you do not want to miss. Please don't forget to like and leave us a comment if you're going to be picking up any of these awesome looking RPGs. And as always, thank you for watching us here at Game Conclave.